Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to the Lupus Strength Circle Warrior Journey series. And tonight we have an amazing guest. We're switching it up a little bit. We've had our Lupus Warriors the last couple interviews, Wendy and I, but tonight we have Latrece Johnson, and she's going to be talking about her journey with grave disease, which is also part of the autoimmune family. Wendy, you want to say hello to everyone before we turn it over?
Hello, it's nice to see everyone, and I'm glad you're here, Latrice.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Wendy. Thank you so much. And thank you as well, Cheryl.
Absolutely.
Sure. So, what we're going to do is jump in. So, Latrice, what I'll have you do is just tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you do now, and then go into your story of like how Graves' disease became part of your, I want to say title, but part
Yeah.
of your journey.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. Thank you again to the guest host here in the Super Strength Circle Warrior Journey. My name is Latrice Johnson. And yes, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease back in 2012. Um, at the time, I'm the mother of three children, all boys. And I'm the wife of 30 years to Mr. Stephen Johnson. By degree in education, I am an education educator. My job is working with early childhood children from the ages of birth to third grade. During the pandemic, I did work as a third and fourth grade teacher in Christian education. And most recently, right after the pandemic, about 2001, 2022, the Lord allowed us to be able at my church that I've been a member of about 18 years now to open up its own early learning center. And so we work with children from ages 3 up to grade 1. And so right now I have five amazing learners. They are just wonderful, make my day go by so quick. I've been blessed to work with my second oldest child, like I said, all boys. So he's working with me in the school, and I love it because he is just reached his 25th birthday, and by degree he's a biology major. So
Oh,
he is kind of like my STEM field teacher, bringing in all these wonderful things that we can do with the children.
I love that. Love that. So tell us about how your journey started with thyroid disease.
Well, like any wonderful husband, I'm that type of person that always wants to go, want to do things. Um, I do a lot. I like working with the church. I like working in my community. I like working with my children, doing things with them on the weekend. Like I said, having all boys. The oldest one, he kept us on our toes because he's into music and sports. The middle child kept us on our toes because he was in the sports and acting. Then he was let's see, well, then he became an Ocean Bowl on the team. So we were traveling from Mobile to Mississippi on the weekends, competing with him. Then they were both Scholars Bowl
Oh wow.
individuals. So we were doing a lot, you know. And so to me, it didn't seem like we were going here, going there, doing this, doing that. But my husband came to me one day. He was like, you know what? He said, you seem a little bit more anxious, a little bit more going on with you than normal. He said, you really need to get that checked out. Later on that same week, I found myself just getting hot. I literally was in my pajamas, but on top of the grate of in my house of the air conditioner coming up, the forced air. I could not get cool enough, y'all. And it
Wow.
was just unbelievable. Like, what is going on? You know, to myself. So, what is this? It's like I was going through menopause, but I was about 38 years old at that time. And so I, thought about it. I said, he's just being a man, whatever, But thank God about the next week, I started at night, I couldn't get through a good night's sleep. It was like my chest was filling with water. And I kept breathing heavy. I was going to work still, trying to teach. But at the end of the day, my legs felt like I was walking through cement, literally. And I just couldn't understand what was going on. They were swelling. And about the third night of me going through that, I like woke up out of a sleep and I told him, I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. So we ended up at the hospital. I got there. the team at USA Medical Center because I'm a Mobilian, and I asked the doctor, they started pumping me with IVs and fluids. You don't always know what's going on, but about 3 hours later, I started feeling better, and I could
Yeah.
breathe a little bit more, and I didn't seem as labored, And I said, oh, well, when do I get discharged? And the doctor looked at me and said, Miss Johnson, you're going to be here for a while. And I looked at him, I said, what are you talking about? And he said, ma'am, you're in heart failure. And I said, heart failure? And
Oh
I'm
wow.
thinking to myself, he said, yeah, your heart's only beating at 20%. That
Wow.
hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, what do you mean my heart's only beating at 20%? And he stated, that's what we mean. You have 20% heart function. You're a grown woman. You should be at least at this stage in our life, somewhere between 65 and 70%. And so I spent a 5 day stint in the hospital, 11 different medications in that 5 days. Thankfully, on day five, I went home on five medications. So I give God the glory for that, And all this time, I'm still trying to process what's going on. Because, mind you, I was working on a master's degree. I had already got completed a bachelor's, but I was doing online master's degree. And, those classes, you can't miss too many classes and trying to catch up or you'll end up having to start over or whatever it is you need to do.
Mhm.
So when I got discharged, from and went home, my husband looked at me and we just kind of looked at each other like, what just happened to us? Or me, what just happened here? And so, in the process, the doctor told me, well, that's when they realized that my thyroid wasn't. He told me it wasn't connecting. It wasn't. It was like it wasn't talking to my brain, and they were
Mhm.
misfiring. And so I ended up getting some blood drawn, and that's when my medical team at the time I was going to the what was it, the health department, and they were telling me just for a routine, like, ma'am, just women's stuff. You know what I mean? We're not just trying to keep myself healthy that way. And I get hit with this. TSH levels are too high, and they're letting me know, hey, you have an issue. I went in to get scanned about 2 weeks later, and that's when the team told me, the radiology team said, you have nine goiters and nine nodules and one hot goiter that was just spewing out, just spewing, just all indiscriminate, just doing what it wanted to do. And they told me that's when he knew. The doctor was like, you could either do the iodine and shrink it, or you can go ahead and have the surgery. So here I am trying to face that. So
Mhm.
that's what happened. They were like, it looks like he was asking me questions like, did you just have a baby? And I said, no, my youngest at that time was five. So no, he's 5 years old, kindergarten, you're going to first grade. He said, well, that's what it seems like. You're acting like a woman who just had a baby. I said,
Mhm.
yeah, like 5 years ago, but that's the beginning of my story there.
Wow.
Hmm.
So let the people know. So in layman's term, what would you describe what is Graves' disease for someone that does not know, that may not even really know that the thyroid can do all of these amazing things to
It
your
is.
body.
The thyroid control is a hormone. It controls everything in our bodies, from your heartbeat to your metabolism to joint health. And so if what's our little thing we say? If your thyroid isn't working right, neither are you. And so
Yeah.
if you're experiencing anything like that, the uniqueness of the thyroid is that you could be having hot flashes, you could be experiencing cold, you could be experiencing hot. Everything that you can experience when you don't have enough hormone, you can be experiencing when it's too much hormone. So
Correct.
it's so interesting that way. So it can be weight loss. Like for me, it's more of weight gain. I've never, as a younger person, I wasn't quite this big, but it's like I would eat or not eat, not still gain weight. You
Yeah.
know, I could be like now without because I have the surgery. I ended up choosing surgery, but I am either hot or cold. There's no in between for me. So like this snap we're having right now, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm just freezing and
Right.
Yeah.
everything. And then if I get someplace, whatever they tell people to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. I'm a thermometer, y'all, all day. I am not the thermostat anymore. That's not me.
Right.
So that's where I am. And those and they range so much. Like I said,
Mhm.
I thought I was going through the change, but
Yeah.
it was my thyroid.
Wow. So with Graves' disease, it's normally called like hyperthyroidism.
Exactly.
Are there ever any cases of people going hypo with Graves' disease? Because I know hypo is normally Hashimoto's, but
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's great that you asked that question. That was something that I had to learn about. You could be, if you're hyper, you can definitely be hypo. And especially if you choose to have it removed or if you choose to have it shrunk. And that's exactly what happens because without medication, now you have no hormones going through
correct.
anything. So it's going to require you to get some type of medication. And for me, I was prescribed the actual Synthroid, but I ended up taking the generic, which is levothyroxine, and it took a while to get adjusted. And I'm on the highest dosage that you can have.
Oh
Right.
wow.
Hmm.
Got it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, Wendy, you want to go ahead with your question? I know
Sure.
she answered some of it, but it
Yeah,
might be
yeah.
a little.
Um, let's see. You kind of covered most of them. Well, actually, how has Graves' disease affected your mental and emotional well-being?
Definitely that. Just the diagnosis, first of all,
Mm,
it took me through some things mentally
right.
because I was the one. Again, I like to be involved in things and I like to be doing things. And I'm telling you now that I don't have the thyroid, the tiredness
Right.
is unbelievable. I've never felt this tired. I don't care if I go to sleep and get 8 hours. There are some Saturdays I have been in bed all day long. And
Mhm.
again, I'm so grateful for my husband who does not penalize his wife for being in the bed all day
Right.
long. I can literally get up, have a coffee with him, and I'm back in the bed.
Yeah.
And I mean, my whole body is just like, was tired. And just mentally that does something to me because my youngest child is on the autism spectrum. And so it's important to me that he has experiences
Hmm.
that offer him the opportunity to be out in the public as much as possible. Because I
Mhm.
think about what happens when my husband and I are not here. His
Mhm.
Right.
brothers are great with him, but I want him to have the best life that he can. When his brothers were younger, my husband and I were able to do things with him and or do things with his brothers. And
Mhm.
like with him, I feel like he's getting the short end of the stick with me. And that just hurts me to my heart, y'all. Because I'm the type that wants to make sure he's getting the very best life that he can get. And so that initial diagnosis, when he was 5 years old, it just was like, wow, am I going to be around? That was. And if I am, how long will I be around? Um, what does that mean now? What does this mean? I'm thyroid. Why do I not? Why am I the only one in my family? Which I learned later that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but I'm the only one that's got it to this level. Everybody else is able to manage either just with dietary, maybe, or lifestyle, or just low doses of
Hmm.
Mhm.
chemo, but they haven't had to have any surgeries or anything like that. So mentally, it was something going through it. Um, I just can't even describe it because again, just being in the church too, I was telling just sharing with you guys earlier how I went through a thyroid storm before the initial diagnosis, and I'm part of my praise and worship team. So I'm standing there in front of the church singing, and all of a sudden I get really hot. I'm standing there, I can barely breathe, my heart starts to race, and my vision just goes. And I'm barely like, I'm trying to like find where the seat was just to see if I can hit the front seat and not the floor. And
Right.
hopefully, we had deacons there and people who saw me fading, as they say,
Yeah.
and was able to lead me there to get there until I was able to get out of it. And of course, I could hear people praying, but I couldn't see, and all I could do was hear. I just was labored, just trying to catch my breath, and it was something. Going through that. and
Mhm.
finally understanding what was going on. You know?
Mhm.
So yeah,
So,
mentally, there's been a lot of mental health days just walking through this.
Right.
I can only imagine. So when
Mhm.
you went through that, the thyroid storm, was that before the diagnosis of you actually know, or this was like right after they said,
This was right after the diagnosis. And let me tell you, you know what? The American healthcare system, oh my gosh, that's a whole nother show. I'm
Oh,
sure we could talk about.
right.
But again, as an early childhood educator, I have worked in spaces where I've had insurance and where I haven't had insurance. And
Mhm.
so when I got my original diagnosis, I did not have insurance at the place that I was working at, or it was available, but it was beyond my budget. Let me put it that way.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, gratefully, one of my parents in the classroom, I had 20 children in my pre K classroom at that time. She worked at the hospital. It was her last week working there. She had already was moving out, getting ready to have a job somewhere else, but she put me on what they call the charity list
Mhm.
so that my 5 days being in the hospital was covered.
Oh,
I was
wow.
so grateful to her for that. And
Bless.
so the thyroid, but then, okay, you have this diagnosis, the heart failure, okay, they're treating that,
Mhm.
gratefully for that. I'm able to get medications for that. But
Mhm.
I need this surgery and everything. They know that I need this surgery. It took 2 years before 12, no, 4 years actually. Yeah, I had the surgery in 2016.
Wow.
4 years. All they could do was manage the heart failure because I did not have insurance well enough to cover that surgery. They kept referring me to this doctor that was supposed to take cases like mine. Every time I tried to call, try to get seen by him,
Mhm.
I could not get seen by this doctor. I would go back to my doctor working with my heart failure. Well, he said this and he's supposed to do this. They take cases like yours. I said, well, why don't you call her? Call him. See what he tells you. She did that. And after that call, she never ever said anything to me about going to that doctor. And so
Wow.
I said, I get it. Even though USA is a teaching hospital, some doctors still want to get paid. This is major surgery. This is not
Yeah.
a little fly by night, little situation. Because when I finally got the surgery in 2016, by this time I was working for the Head Start program. So I had Blue
Mhm.
Cross and Blue gets, all that benefits and stuff. And that doctor actually was trained at Duke University. He worked in the office of a breast cancer doctor who had gone to class and learned how to stitch you up beautifully. People look at my neck and be like, you had what? You don't look like other thyroid patients because it's done so well because he
Mm.
was trained by her how to cut and not butcher.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So, being in that particular situation with them and getting that level of care and everything, I'm glad it took that long, even though didn't look good at the beginning,
Yeah.
having to wait 4 years for surgery. But it did benefit me in the long run, to get that top level care. And my surgery was done at Mobile Infirmary, by Dr. Gephardt and his team, and they did a fantastic job. He asked me after the surgery, he stated, he said, I don't understand how you're even able to swallow. And I said, what do you mean? He said, because when I went in your throat in there, he said everything was so twisted and mangled up in there and just knotted together. He said, there's no way you should have been able to sing, talk, or swallow.
Wow.
I said, man, you just don't know.
I goosebumps.
You have to, I said, look, you have to know God for yourself.
Yes.
And know that he's real and that he will take care of you if you have purpose. And I mean, even if whatever his purpose is for you,
Yeah.
you walk it out for his purpose and let him be great for you.
Wow.
So I was so grateful for him saying that. And he was telling me how he put a special tube about nerves to make sure he didn't damage any vocal cords because he could have easily done that,
Yep.
but none of that happened. And it took about a week before I was able to talk again. They tell you don't talk because you will strain. He says as I get older, my voice will get deeper, but that's just par
Yeah.
for the course. At least I can talk. And I'm
Yeah.
talking. Look at I'm talking to you guys tonight. Oh my
I
goodness!
know, right?
Yes,
Wow, that's amazing. I
yes,
do want to say hello to some of our YouTube channel followers that are watching right now,
awesome.
and of course on Facebook. But yeah, wow, that's a journey.
Mhm.
I have Hashimoto, and I've noticed in the last like 3 years, like my voice is always raspy.
Yes,
And then out of nowhere, I have like 7 nodules on my thyroid, and I'm
yes,
like, "What? Wait a minute," you know?
yes,
And every time someone calls me, they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I wake you?" And I was like, "No, I've been up for hours." So
yes.
I totally get it. I get
I,
it.
yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So, the next question we have for you, I don't know if I'm skipping out a turn, Wendy, but I'll just ask it. What I know you mentioned you're on thyroid, like the highest dose.
Mhm.
So are you taking any other medicines for the thyroid? And was the congestive heart failure part of the thyroid? And is that better now?
The congestive heart failure was the I guess the clarion call for the thyroid issue. So I'm still on medication for that. They tell you when you are diagnosed with heart failure, you are not to take, you don't ever stop taking the medication. Okay, fine. I'll live. I'm gonna stay on it and live. That's how I look at
Mhm.
it like that. Again, that's a mental health piece too, because I
Yeah,
never wanted to be on medicine the rest of my life, but here I am.
yeah,
So again, there were 5 medications when I left the hospital with the heart failure. Now I take what is it called? A beta blocker.
mhm,
I take that twice a day. And that does help with the thyroid issue because they will tell you if you have hypothyroidism or the thyroid storm. I think
mhm,
that's what helped me a lot not to die because again I was once that happened I'm starting to read. I'm trying to find out things about it, and unfortunately I did find out there were people who passed away younger than me who had gone
mhm.
through that, and it was just out of the blue. Never had any symptoms, thyroid storm, and they're gone,
Yeah.
leaving behind young babies, children and stuff. And so, because I was already on a beta blocker, I think that helped me again. I also take I think what is a diuretic because, like I said, the water weight came on,
Yeah.
so I take that as prescribed, and I also take I guess because it's heart medication anyway, they try to put you on like a cholesterol meds, even though my
Yeah.
cholesterol levels have been pretty good, but just to
Yeah.
keep them that way. So I take that as
Mhm.
well. So, and then along with the Levo. So you're talking about 5 medications a day, 5 medications a day, and that's
It's
been
a lot, but hey, you've seen some that are on a ton more,
way
but
more. That's true. Way more.
wow.
Way more.
Poor Wendy's having a coughing
And
spell. She's
it's
been
just
sick.
air. I told you, it's cold. It's air.
It's okay. I was just gonna let you stay on mute, and I was gonna ask some more questions till you got
Go ahead.
yourself
I'll be
together.
so bad. Yes, I know. It's this air. She's trying to battle this air and interview.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um. So, piggying back on the medication, like, is there? And all medications, of course, have side effects,
Yeah.
but are there any that are a challenge for you, but hey, I can't stop these medication?
The Levo is a challenge because I'm a coffee drinker, and with the and they all these medicines, and this Levo is one of those ones where you need to take it like they tell you.
Mhm.
Um, take it every day. Take it at a certain time of day if you can,
Yeah.
and don't eat or drink anything for 30 minutes to an hour after you when you take it. It's one of
Wow.
those medicines that dissipates so quickly, and they tell you maybe you can miss a day. But if you're the type that like to hit and miss, levothyroxine is one of those medications where it has to build up in your system and get
Mhm.
to level you off so you can be great. And
Yes.
I promise you, when I miss it, I know I'm like most people. I am not the I'm gonna take my medicine religiously every day. I'm not that person. I have been bad at it and I've been really good at it. But when I'm
Mhm.
bad at it, my body says, "Hey, guess what? You've been bad at it." Because that's when my fingernails they will start to peel. They like become paper thin. I can literally take another fingernail and go in and peel off the nails sometimes.
Wow.
Mhm.
One morning I woke up, I had no eyebrows. Like they were all just gone. What happened to my eyebrows?
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh my goodness. I just said I was so shocked by the different things. I started turning gray when I was 33 and I had just that one line of gray right here. And
Mhm.
like I said, like I have no shame in my game. I love my hair. I love, look, if I bought it, it's mine. And so my hair started turning gray like overnight. All of a sudden, I just went white, and I said, "What is?" It was just unbelievable. So that's one of those things. Like I said, I'm a coffee drinker. Been a coffee drinker since I was in high school. I want the coffee when I want my coffee. I don't have to wait for it. But I'm at a point now. Take your medicine, then take your coffee.
Yeah.
But, I'm learning that caffeine bothers me sometimes. I'm
Mhm.
trying to do decaf more. I'm not always as good as that during the week either, but all of that's designed with the medicine. All of these are like the downsides to me. And somebody will be like, "That's so minor." It is. It is in the grand scheme of things because I'm alive, and I thank God for that. But it's just the little things in our lives that make our lives our lives. You know what I mean? You
Yes.
Right.
know, the
Right.
beta blocker that I take for the heart failure, it has to be taken at certain times. I think twice a day I take it. And at night, when I have to take it like in the 8 o'clock hour, because if I fall, they tells you you can't fall asleep on that for about
Yeah.
30 to 45 minutes. Like, so you gotta be careful about that because you don't want to be trying to be healthy and die. You know what I'm saying? And so then there's the water weight one. I like to go out, take field trips with my kids. I'd be careful when I take that because I gotta have a bathroom around. you
Yeah.
know, this is reality now. But again, it could be worse, and I'm laughing about it now. I wasn't laughing about it before when it all first started. It was a mental. I had to
Yeah.
walk this. I had to talk to the Lord. I had to really get sing to myself and at night I used to put my headphones on and just listen to my gospel music all night long, just have it playing because I
Mhm.
knew I was in a space where I needed help, to get through this and stuff, and he's helped me a lot,
I
truly.
don't think people realize how chronic illness
Mhm.
weighs on a person mentally.
Right.
Yes,
Like, because life, I always say, is hard in general.
yes,
And then first you're a female, then you're a spouse or partner, then if you're a mom, and then it's
yes.
like you got to manage being sick. And it's just like,
Hmm.
how do you even, so how do you balance it? Because you are all of those
Yeah.
with a chronic illness,
Right.
Hmm.
plus you still work.
Right. Hmm.
So
Right.
so where do you find that balance?
I have learned to find a balance in, like I said, the Word of God. I find it in my family. My husband has always been right there, warrior with me. I mean, he's my warrior too. Like I said, even with his own challenges and stuff, we have
He's
to
gonna
learn.
be on the show next.
And
Okay, he will love it. You'll love him. He's so designed for this. Like he's looking at me like, I know you didn't just put me up here. But I am so grateful. And then educating my sons as well about what I'm going through has helped me a great deal. And they have been so. I thank God for those boys because a lot of times
right.
boys are so concerned about their own self, and I'm not saying they're not. They got their own lives, but they know what it's like for me. And nobody comes in and it's like, "Oh, mom, you feeling good today? Okay, mom, well, can you do this for me? Mom, can you do that?" I do what I'm gonna do, and when I can't do, I let them know. Right now, I need this moment,
Yeah,
or today I'm checked out. This ain't the day.
yeah,
Or if I when I go to work, if I'm tired, I come on home, get home, and I'm in the bed. You know, I have to be like that. It's just the reality of who I am. I've had people tell me, "You look so tired all the time." Well, I am. but I'm
Yeah.
here. I showed up
Yeah.
today, and I'm going to show up tomorrow until I can't show up. And
Right.
that's the reality. And when I need to go sit down somewhere, I'm going to go sit down. Please know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes. But see,
Mhm.
We
you had to get to that space.
But I had to
So,
get there. That's right. I had to get there. I had to get there.
and I'm
Hmm.
gonna say hello to Avril. She hops
Oh,
on every time we have a live on YouTube. So hello, good
that's great.
evening.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome. And another thing that has helped me, I want to just share this because I know, I'm so grateful to tell your audience that met you actual Cheryl
Yeah.
through what you do and everything in the community, even though I've known a lot of your family for a long time. And I'm
Okay.
really great to meet Wendy as well tonight. This is amazing. And like so many people, we have to find an outlet once we go through these type of things. It can't just be just centered around what we've gone through because it feels like you are like a subject to that illness. And I didn't want it to be like that. And I
right.
was like, well, okay, Lord, if I'm going through this, what's the bigger picture than just me being, a thyroid, patient, a Graves patient, a
Right.
heart failure patient, and all of this. And
Mhm.
so I was able to like think about, hey, again, I didn't know anybody who was going through this. And I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody in my family that was going through it either. And so I started reading through and try to, look around, try to say, well, who else is going through this? I came across this organization called Thyroid Cancer Survivors, I think, Association. And I said, well, you know what? I can share information about thyroid awareness. I can do that, when I get opportunity. And so I just kind of called my little organization Paisley Butterfly 13 because Paisley is the color and then the butterfly is the shape of the thyroid. And 13 is just my name in Spanish, my first name. And I said, we're
Oh,
gonna do
Oh,
Paisley Butterfly 13. And it was born of this. And so I've been able to learn about in September. I did an event with Magnolia Springs Fire Department because after I think it was 9/11, so many firefighters was having thyroid cancer and
mm,
everything. So I wanted to do an activity with them and they let me set up and spread awareness with them. I've done a few health events and everything in downtown Mobile. I've done a few things where I've just been able to just share the information, and just let people know you are not alone. I've gotten emails
mhm.
before from people who were having operations, and I've cried with people, like it's
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it through, but I understand where you're coming from because I've been there. And that
Mhm.
has been amazing just for people to open up to you like that,
Yeah.
let them know that you are not alone. And that's I know this is what you guys are about tonight. Um, just letting people know you are not alone. There's somebody that you can
Yeah.
talk to, or
right.
who, even if I can't give you any advice, I can at least let you know I'm gonna pray with you, or I'm gonna,
Yeah.
well, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand. So
So,
even for Christmas time, we take Paisley Butterfly and we do we spread share toys because a lot of times people say, well, thyroid issues come because you're stressed out, you're anxious. If it is, I want to bring some of that, get some of that anxiety off of you.
yeah.
And get the baby some toys. No, you ain't got to go into debt for Christmas. It
Yes.
will help you and stuff. So, that is a
Awesome.
beautiful. That's something that has helped me bring out an outlet because I remember as a young child when I was one of those children whose parents, even though my mom and dad were married at the time, they still had their issues and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I remember people giving us presents during the holidays. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to be one of those people that can give back on that level.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. One of
Mm-hmm.
the before Wendy asked her question, Avril asked,
Mm-hmm.
does she have lupus and other chronic immune illness? She said that she got let's see, she got one illness and they seem to keep coming, and the doctor says it's common.
Wow.
So,
That's
so do
something.
you happen to have anything outside of Graves' disease as your autoimmune
No,
that they,
Graves is
I
the
guess,
only thing, although I will say that diabetes does run in my family. So I have to be mindful of that. And especially, like I was saying, because Graves sometimes, the weight gain or the weight loss, I tend to be more of the weight gain, so I have to be careful about that. At one of
Yeah.
my last doctor's visits, they were, telling me to be mindful of that as a saying you could be pre-diabetic. And I know all of this falls in the endocrine system. All of this is us, y'all. This is if anything.
Yeah.
All of this is who we are. Diabetes, the lupus. I have friends who I've talked to about lupus. I know a woman younger than I am and everything. She found out when she was 16, and I saw her walk through that battle. And her mother, and now she's walking through that battle with just her mom, with just her and her dad, because her mom passed away 2 years ago.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm thinking to myself, wow. So no, right now I'm grateful for just the graves
Yeah.
and stuff, but I get it. Sometimes one leads to another one, and you just walking in, you just have to know that somebody's on your side, though.
Yeah. Have they ever tested you for any other things outside of that, or did they kind of stop it at
They stopped it, I think, at that moment, and just my weight, and because of family history, like I
got
said,
it?
it's the diabetes. But so far, with Graves' disease, you have to get blood. I don't know how often, with lupus, we
Mhm.
have to get blood tested like every 6 months,
Yeah.
and to make sure the levels are okay.
Right.
And every time I go now, it seems like I'm getting stuck. Every
Yeah.
single time.
Yeah.
That's
Got it.
where I am.
You got the
So,
floor, Wendy.
okay. You do you have to navigate with the healthcare providers that you have? Do you have to um I guess advocate for yourself? Like they tell you there's nothing wrong and then but you're trying to tell them that there is?
Thankfully, I've been blessed on that level. Like I said, the only time I actually had to deal with that in a negative way was with the insurance thing.
Okay.
When I got diagnosed, I was with USA, and this I'm not saying anything against anybody because I'm grateful for all the caregivers that I have. Please
Mhm.
know that.
Right.
But when I got out of the hospital, they send you to their doctors and their respective areas. This particular doctor, when when he realized that I was a charity case, was like, "Well, I just want you to know this is not free health care." And I said, "At no point did I think it was." I
Oh,
said, "But that's
wow.
yeah."
Wow.
I was really shocked, but hey, everybody's different, And
Wow.
so you need to find out what you want to do. If we're going to still be your providers, then this is our copay or our fee. If not, then you need to find somebody who can manage or help you manage your care. And I was like, okay, I'm a firm believer. If I'm here and I'm supposed to stay here, I'm gonna find somebody to help me manage this care. And so that's when, like I said, I ended up using the health department. That is my family, my medical home. In
Mhm.
fact, they were the ones who did my initial blood testing. Like I was just going in for, I guess, my annual,
Mhm.
and they were drawing blood, and she went and ran my blood, and it was the TSH levels were off the roof. She said, She said, we got to do something about this. And that's when I ended up in the care of, what was it, Dr. Michael Smith in Mobile Infirmary. He has an office right there on Spring Hill.
Mhm.
So, and he's very wonderful, very awesome doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of I know I can be that person. Like I was 15 years in the medical field, and stuff you don't think you're taking for granted, but you take for
Yeah,
granted. And I remember in my 20s, just like I've never not had insurance, like since I've been on the earth, like
yeah,
don't know what that feels like.
yeah,
And when all of that hit me in
mhm,
2012, like a ton of bricks,
yeah,
and then it's like you lose your career, you don't have insurance. And I thank God because I formed relationship with a lot of the doctors that I
yeah,
had to end up seeing.
yeah,
And that was the only way I was able to navigate. I went a whole year with no health insurance. And I was like, okay, God, good little
mhm,
joke. I didn't need that. Like you could have told me in a different way, kind of
Right.
thing. But it was a struggle. I got to see from the other side.
yes,
I would help
yes,
patients all the time to help them
mhm,
get their prescriptions covered and stuff like. But to
yes,
be on that other side, it
mhm,
was a real eye opening. And they're saying, oh well, you got to do these infusions,
yeah,
but they're going to cost you 20 plus $1,000, and you're like, and how often do I have to get this? oh, you got to go every month. Like that's
Wow.
not realistic.
Yeah.
Um, but that's why, it's important. That's why me and Wendy's like, we've got to start advocating. We've got to get
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
stories out there, and we have to let the people know you can't tell when you
Mhm.
have this chronic illness or invisible disease, and that's why they call it that.
That's right.
So trying to change that stigma, or oh well, people will say, oh my God, you've gained a lot of weight. I know since my diagnosis, I've literally gained over 100 pounds.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I don't even recognize myself. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's just, we have to tell the
Right.
story,
Right.
and you
That's
don't know
right.
someone's
That's
struggle. You
Right.
just assume that they're just being lazy.
Right.
right. Mhm. And you will find these are some of the hardest working people in the community, in their homes, doing some of the most dynamic things you wouldn't even realize.
Huh?
It's amazing. You don't even know how they're being pulled on, or
Yeah.
what they're doing just to be who they are, just to be who you are. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, just this is just who you are. You just built
Yeah.
to serve. You
Right.
Yeah. And I tell people that with chronic illness warriors, we fake being okay.
Right.
Like to everyone, like we have to put on this front or whatever. And one thing I pray all the time, and it's crazy because my mom had the same prayer. Like she would always be smiling.
know.
But no one behind the scenes knew that she had strokes in her 30s. She was paralyzed at one point. Like, so I always say, God, let people see my smile and not what I really feel like. But
Yeah.
there's times where I'll have to snap a picture and send someone because they'll be like, well, I just saw you and you look
Uh-huh.
just fine. And I said, I'm running on adrenaline. But by the time I stop and get in my car or get home, it's like the life is almost sucked out of you. And I don't think people, realize it. And we're not looking for sympathy, but
Yeah.
just, for somebody just have understanding.
Yeah.
Avril
Absolutely.
has Avril asked another question. She asked about what boundaries do you have with your family and friends? And are you with your Graves' disease, are you having to like turn down events due to your illness?
Well, the boundaries, like I said, with my family and friends, as far as the family, they know, they understand. They've been walking with me. My husband and I, like I said, been married 30 years. So he pretty much knows me, and he knows when I'm up and when I'm down or when I need a break or when I'm just at the end. And my children, they know their mom and they've developed their own life outside of us, which is
Mhm.
helpful. They don't need, and by them being older now, like I said, three sons, but my baby is 17. And so the oldest one is 30. He'll be 31 at the end of this month. Oh, yeah, he got a birthday in 7 days. Ah, let me get on top of that. So he'll be 31 in 7 days. The middle child just turned 25 on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
So they've developed friendships and lives outside of mom and dad.
Mhm.
So I don't have to be mom and dad on that level, even though we all still live and cohabitate together. And so
Yeah.
why? Because life is just like that right now. And
Hey,
so
it's expensive to live on your own. I wish I could go stay with somebody.
there it is. There it is. So they've learned how to move about, as they say, our country the right way. And
Yeah.
that's the boundaries there. As far as friends and everything like that, because of the way my work schedule is, most of my friends we chit chat online or on the phone
Yeah.
when we can. And they have families and friends. Some of them are dealing with autoimmune things as well. Um, and so what I do mostly with church and everything, with that schedule, it pretty much takes up a lot of my time, and I'm okay with that because I can kind of move about as I need to. And I thank God for my pastor. I don't know if she's online, but I'm gonna shout her out and the church family and all of your family,
Hey,
Cheryl. Thank
Lisa.
you. I love them. They're amazing. And as far as like other family members, the extended family, my husband's family, this is his home and everything. So again, they kind of move about their countries. They got things going on, and we get together when we can and
Yeah.
everything to have dinners or whatever. But usually it's maybe twice a year as far as doing that. But we see each other, call each other, interact on that level. And my family lives out of state, so there's a lot of phone calls with them as well. So I don't have to put myself in situations where I have to be like, oh, I can't make it this time,
Yeah.
or on that level, So I'm grateful. And just this past weekend, I had went to my aunt's funeral, but I was able to manage that drive. I was able to manage the weekend, and come back and stuff, because I was able to rest and
Yeah.
everything at some point in there. So it really worked out. And I'll thank you for that question. It's a good question.
Awesome. Thank you, Admiral, for that question. Sorry to hear about your aunt.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. The last question that I have before Wendy does the last one.
Hmm.
What is one of the most common misconceptions about grave disease that you would like to address or clarify?
I think it's just for all of us, just it's all in your head. It's not it is not, you don't think you're crazy, you're not crazy. If you think something's uncommon going on in your body, it's okay to go to the doctor and question that, or to just say, to your medical team, or whoever you trust, hey, I think something's going on with
Yeah.
me. It's okay. I think I tell people when, like Jesus chose his 12, he chose a physician on his team.
Yes.
A physician on his team, y'all. He had a money man on his team. That's where Cheryl come in and her people. So, and he had a money, he had a doctor on his team.
Mhm.
And so I think that says a lot. And then he had other people who were workers, the fishermen. You need your people, you
Yes.
know. But I think it's interesting that one of those gospels is a physician. So it's
Yeah.
okay to go get checked out. I'm really pushing for even my own sons to do better about their health. Just because you're young, we're seeing so much go on with different
Yeah.
ones in media, people just in your own circle around you
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
didn't realize, well, so and so was sick, or he had a heart murmur, or just different things like that. Go get checked out, y'all.
Yes.
Just get a
Yes.
screening, go get your annuals. If you don't do nothing else, go get your annuals.
Exactly. And
I'm here
that's
to do
good.
that. Get your annuals, so
Yeah.
go do that. Do that.
Absolutely. All right, Wendy, I'll let you finish, close us out, really. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Huh? Can you, Wendy? Mm, can't hear you. I don't know. Okay, I'll finish it. You,
Type it in the chat.
I know she was going in and out when she was coughing, so that's
Oh,
why I
okay.
thought it was just
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. All right. So the last question that she was going to ask,
Hmm.
what advice would you give that new person that just got diagnosed or told that they had Graves' disease? Since we know that this disease, it doesn't matter if you're old, young, anybody can
Right.
have this. So, what advice would you give them when they're in that gloomy spot?
Well, reach out to people that once, I mean, you got this right here, this platform right here. Reach out to people that there are some awareness groups now, like I mentioned earlier, THICA, which is a Thyroid Cancer Survivors Association. They are really working now to get their groups together. I'm one of their group leaders, so if you call me, right now we just kind of meet on phone or whatever. If you just need somebody to talk to, or email me, I'll email you back. I will call you back, call you back or whatever, or take your call. Just it's sometimes you just need to vent. You don't need
Yeah.
any advice. You just want to be like, this happened to me and I don't like it. I get it. It happened to me too and I didn't like it either. So just try to reach out to someone that don't mind talking about it, that will talk to you about it, because you got some that just aren't ready, and I get it.
Mhm.
That's fine. It took me a minute to get ready to be able to do this, because a lot of folks just don't want to accept, like, oh, give it to Jesus. I gave it to Jesus. I did. I gave it to Jesus, so I'm still here and everything. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, you need somebody to talk to. You need to get that vent that out, and to be able to let people know this is where I am. But then you need somebody that can tell you what you can get through it. You can't get
Ab-
through it, because you'd be surprised. We had a ballet dancer from Mobile. She was had Graves' disease and everything, and but she's still able to go out, and she still went to New York. And yes, she was challenged. Yes, in this disease, it gave her some fits, and she had to sit out for a while. You know, it happens.
Yeah.
But then there's other people that they're just living our basic daily lives, and we're getting through it and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I love that. And how can people find more about your nonprofit or your group that you
Yes,
form?
we are on Facebook. We are Paisley Butterfly 13. That's Paisley, Paisley, Butterfly 13, the number 13. And I believe Thika has us at thika-mobilealabama.org.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm typing it down so I don't forget when I tag you
Sure,
at
sure.
the end. I know I
Absolutely.
follow you, but I want to make
Yes,
sure I'm tag letting people
yes.
know. Well, I like Wendy. I don't know if she can talk now. Nope, probably still can't. Nope. Mm-mm. Um, so we are so thankful for you to,
Yes.
sharing your journey, and
Mhm.
that's what we're here for. So if you that are watching or you know someone that's suffering from autoimmune disease, can be visible, non, or invisible, lupus, fibro, anything, we want
Mhm.
your stories, and we know not one story is going to be the same. Everyone has different symptoms,
Absolutely.
um in a different journey. So until our next one, if you when you guys catch us for May, we're going to be super busy. We
Mhm.
have something coming up every single week. I can quickly tell everyone who we've got coming up.
Mhm.
2 seconds. I'm still trying to learn to navigate through all of this, y'all, so I apologize. So on March the 8th, we have four amazing warriors that are going to be on. They're going to be talking about lupus warriors and investment. They are looking at, the group is called Women Investing for Financial Independence, letting warriors know that there's more to them than just the diagnosis, and also seeing the struggles financially that warriors have to go through. And this is, they're providing tools. So I'm excited about that one. Then we're going to do May 14th with Viv. She's off of Instagram. She's going to be telling her lupus story. And then we're going to, on May the 21st, we're going to do the Lupus Love Unfiltered with myself, my husband, Wendy, and her husband. We're
Okay.
going to talk about, nothing's off limits, but we're going to be really transparent when it comes to coping and dealing with marriage or relationship when you've gotten that diagnosis, because it doesn't just affect the patient, it
Absolutely.
affects your whole household. So we're excited, and we'll have a lineup for the last week. That'll come up in a couple more weeks. I'll have that information out. But
Mhm.
until the next one, I want to say thank you again. And I'm here. We're here anytime y'all want to talk or whatever. But we got to get our support group back
Mhm.
on the road. But this works better for us right now doing
Yes.
these live,
Yes.
because I'm still learning a lot just by hearing other people's stories. And it
Absolutely.
could be something that you thought, symptom that you were just the only one, and then someone pops up and says, "Nope, I had that too."
Yes.
So just amazing. So, well, you have a blessed night,
Thank
and
you
you guys
both.
have
Thank you.
all right. Bye.
Good night. Good night.